It says in the book of Leviticus, chapter 11, yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing, the locust, the beetle, the grasshopper, but all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. Now, the word abomination in the Bible means it makes you sick. There are 2 kinds of abominations in the Bible. He said, if you eat this, it's going to be an abomination unto you. Some things in the Bible, it says God says that's an abomination unto me. In other words, God says that makes me sick. Deuteronomy 23, when a man wears a woman's clothes and a woman wears a man's clothes, God said that makes me sick. That's an abomination to me. So he said, if you eat the insects, that's an abomination to you. It's going to make you sick. Eating certain insects will make you sick. But he said it's okay to eat the locust, the beetle, and the grasshopper. When I was teaching in California, one of my students, his mother was from Thailand. Dad was an American soldier over there in Vietnam and married a Thai girl, and they came back, and their baby was, or student was one of my students in California, Fairfield, California. And I got talking to that, I knew the family pretty well. She said one of their favorite things to eat over there is beetles. They have a beetle that's like 4 inches long. They cook them over the fire, pluck their legs off, and get a spoon and just dish them out and eat them like... I guess you can get used to anything. John the Baptist lived on, locusts and wild honey, didn't he? God said it's okay to eat locusts and beetle, but notice it says 4 feet. Is this a scientific mistake? Boy, the atheists love to jump on this one. John Combs used to work... Do you remember John Combs? Yeah. John, I'd like to find out where you are. Last I heard, he was a nurse at a hospital in Kentucky. A prison hospital. A prison hospital in Kentucky near the West Virginia border. If anybody knows John Combs, tell him, give me a call. We got to touch. He got married, had 3 kids within about 3 years and 2 weeks, and probably has about 40 kids by now. Anyway, John, I asked John to research this because I got 40 projects going. I said, John, Bible says insects have 4 feet. What do you say about that? Here's what he wrote. Now, John was a genius guy, okay, but a little bit sarcastic and in your face kind of stuff, okay? I liked it. He said, here this might pose a genuine problem to any entomologist who does not study the language of the King James Bible. Insects definitely have 6 legs, not 4, according to our way of thinking. Now, of course, the dishonest skeptic wants the Bible believer to think the writer of Leviticus had never seen a grasshopper, beetle, wasp, or cockroach in his entire life, and was that stupid to think that insects had 4 legs instead of 6. Moses obviously knew that flying, creeping things have 6 legs. The problem here isn't a scientific error. It's defining terms. Before we get into the real problem in verse 23, let's deal with a minor one in verse 21. Every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all 4. All 4 what? It doesn't tell you. If the answer is 4 legs or 4 feet, there would not be an error. How do you know? Upon all 4 is an expression, not a literal meaning of crawling and supporting itself on 4 appendages. How do you know? Look at the verse right before it. Verse 20. Fowls are said to go upon all 4. It's an expression for crawling. Go upon all 4. Now don't sit there and tell me that Moses didn't know that birds only have 2 legs and 2 feet. Don't be that absurd. Going upon all 4 is a human expression defining something that creeps low to the ground, because when we crawl, we go upon all 4. Now to the real problem. Firstly, the text did not say it had a total of 4 feet. He gave a commandment saying if it had 4 feet, you weren't supposed to eat them unless it wasn't in the Levitical list. So looking at it that way, insects do have 4 feet. If the dishonest skeptic faces God one day and at the judgment and points out this error in his word, and God used this argument, the skeptic certainly couldn't prove him wrong. Secondly, the insects in Leviticus, when comparing Scripture with Scripture, do have a total of 4 feet. Did you know insects only have 4 feet? I'll show you. The back 2 sets of appendages are considered legs and feet, a total of 4. And the front 2 are considered arms and hands. Did you ever look at the insects mentioned in Leviticus? The front 2 appendages shoot forward from the body, while the other 2 sets shoot backwards. How do we know the front pair is considered arms and hands? Look at Proverbs 30. The spider taketh hold with her hands. These 4 are legs. These 2 are hands. So when it says they have 4 legs. That is exactly. Grasshopper has 4 legs and 2 hands. Now he happens to walk on them all the time. But you watch a grasshopper for a while, he'll use his hands and clean his mouth and rub his antennas, and those are his hands. And then he walks off on them. So it is not, they face a different direction. It is not a scientific error in the Bible. The Bible says the spider taketh hold with her hands. Now they happen to have 4 hands and 4 legs. 4 facing back, 4 facing forward. Look at them carefully. It's not a scientific error. God can, this is John continuing again. God can explain himself just fine. The fact that spiders have 8 appendages instead of 6 like insects in Leviticus do is irrelevant. It shows that insects in the Bible have both hands and feet, and that is what the Bible clearly teaches. No matter what any entomologist says, the front 2 feet on Leviticus insects are hands, making the beetles have 4 feet, and that's that. That was John's way of answering things. Sure enough, there's a model of a fly. He has 4 feet and 2 hands.
You guys have been asking for praying mantises, and finally, we've got one. Look at that face. Looking back at you with those big buggy eyes. Reaching, trying to get to the next spot.
Are these rare?
No. Praying mantises are extremely common. They're just so incredibly hard to find because they're so well camouflaged. Praying mantises are pretty savvy. And right now it's just looking for a leaf to get onto so that it can head back off into the rainforest and hunt for the night. And look at how he can just tuck his arms underneath his thorax like that.